talk later about the heart. David Icke talks extensively about the heart, and that's everything that I'm about. Again, that the heart is the portal, if you like, the doorway, the key, the secret to the lot, really. And this was something I had heard about for years. It didn't mean anything to me. You can imagine in the circles that I work in the the spiritual side of things, that what critics would call the love and light brigade. You hear the term unconditional love all the time, and it didn't mean anything to me. I thought I knew what it meant. I didn't have a clue. And through extremely massive, a life-changing experience that's happened to me in the last 8 months, where my own portal, if you like, my own heart has been blown wide open. I now know exactly what all this is about. It's been a massive change for me, and it's so hard to explain it, but basically the key for human beings really is if you just get out of your head, which we're conditioned to be in all the time, and get back in touch right into your heart, which is like is literally like driving your car, giving from it. If you think of your body like a car and you've been driving from your head, it's literally from switching the steering wheel from your head to your heart and driving from there. You see exactly what's going on. The whole thing that we're seeing around us that we believe is reality is not real. The physical is not how we're perceiving it to be. It's completely the opposite. And when you're driving from the heart, you can see it and feel it exactly as it is. Now, if I hadn't have experienced this, I'd have thought it was a load of rubbish. I'd have thought, what are you talking about? But I'm actually in the middle of experiencing this now, and understand it. I'd read about it, it didn't mean anything to me, but I understand it now.
Well, I think that's how it has to be, if you will, Lindy. The experiences have to be perceived, if you will. I mean, when we talk about it, of course, it makes a reference point, if you will, for people. They have something to relate to, either if they have gone through it or are going to go through it themselves. But at the end of the day, it's the individual experience of this that is the most important, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, it's a very, very hard thing to explain, but I'll share with you how it changed for me. Is I had reached a point in my life last October where I was ready to end my life. And I'd come from 5 years of extremely bad ill health with fibromyalgia ME, which means I was racked with pain every single day, every single night. And I'd kind of given up. I'd got to the point, and many people that work as healers and in spiritual fields, anybody will tell you that anyone that's any good at it has had a very, very hard life. And that's because that gives you the love and the compassion and the empathy to help other people. If you haven't experienced a really hard time of it, you don't have that empathy for others. But I'd reached the point of where I thought was no return, and I thought, that's it, I've given up. Really, and I had really given up on every level, so heart, body, and soul. And what changed everything for me, and it doesn't matter how much spiritual knowledge I had. I mean, if anything, that made me, want to cross over even more, because I thought, well, it's nicer there, it's really hard here. I'm not afraid to die. I thought that would be the easy way out, really. And then everything changed for me, and I'll tell you why it changed. It changed because of this thing with the heart and frequency. And I was going to see a fantastic psychic surgeon, a healer called Peter Steedman. He is awesome, and he works at the centre that I work at, and I'm also responsible for booking speakers like Ian R. Crane and Patricia Corey and Andy Thomas and that to come in. So, and this is Equilibrium in Wiltshire. And I went there to see him as a patient last year. And as a result of that, because I'm a medium as well, he said, as I was starting to get better, he said, why don't you come and get involved in a development circle, a psychic development circle, and sitting with other people and help me train other people how to do this. And the first circle I went to, we had to do an exercise where you went around behind the person next to you and you put your hand out and you felt around their energy field, and you just had to pick up really basic stuff, feeling the energy, feeling the aura. And this man had sat next to me, and I went round behind him, and it was extraordinary. And I thought, well, I can feel the energy field, but there's no separation. We are exactly the same as if we were exactly the same person. There's no separation. There's nothing. I don't know what's going on here. And I'd never experienced it. And the medium that was, like I say, Peter Steedman, that was working with me, just smiled, and I just stuck two hands together, and I said, well, I don't understand it, but it's as if we are made of the exact same energy or the same frequency. I can't understand it. And that was the beginning of it. And to cut a very long story short, this particular person that has actually, this frequency of this person has changed my life, is they are actually, and this is a whole subject in itself, which I've discussed on American radio, but this person is actually a twin soul. Now, I knew nothing, not a thing about twin souls till it happened to me. But a twin soul is the exact matching energetic blueprint and frequency of yourself. And most documentation on it say that they are the other half of your soul. And when those two frequencies come together, if you imagine that the light that you emit on your own is like a lighthouse, well, it's like 1,000 football stadiums, because the complete soul together has astronomical power. And the idea of twin souls at this time to be manifest, to be physically in the same life at this time, is to serve humanity and is to create the energy of the heart and the energy of love, because love, again, is the only vibration that will lift humans and humanity high enough to go up to the next level. It takes them out of fear and up to the next level. Now, I never knew any of this stuff. I've learnt on the ground. I've learnt fast. I've learnt the hard way. I'm still learning this. I'm evolving at a very, very fast rate as a result of this. But it all ties in exactly with what we're talking about, because it's the time that we're living in now. If I'd have heard someone say this 8 months ago, I'd have laughed because I hadn't experienced it then. But the time we're living in now, the bottom line is to get us through this, we need to get out of our head, out of this left brain thinking, and into the heart, into this connecting with everything being connected, and consciousness and love. And people will say, well, I can't pay the mortgage. My husband's left me. My kids are in trouble with the police. How can I, I've got no money. How can I sit down and talk about love? It starts really, really simply by just starting with love inside yourself, really. I know how corny it sounds, and if you knew me, I mean, you'd laugh, because I'm like, I take the mickey out myself. I'm like an Irish navvy. I swear like a trooper. I'm very, very, very down to earth, very loud, very plain speaking. I call a spade a spade. I don't talk lovey-dovey, which is why when people know me, hear me say this, they know it's true, and they know I'm speaking from the heart. It's the key. It's the key to everything. Love is the key to the whole lot now. And any way humans and mankind can link back into that now, it is the way forward. This is what Ascension's all about. This is what raises the vibration, raises the frequency, raises the earth, and takes us through all this time of change, intact.
Are everybody destined to go through this experience or realization?
I think they are. I mean, there's different points of view on this, and some people will say, oh, if people don't get it, then the people that get it will be fine and they'll live, and the people that don't get it will die. Well, I actually think that's a load of rubbish, because I go on this thing about the thing of mass consciousness again and the 100 monkey syndrome. I think when enough of a species gets the imprint or the blueprint or the message that this is the way it is, I think that tips over to the entire species. And I feel that's so strongly, and I can't get that across strong enough. I think when enough people's consciousness and minds are open and enough hearts are open, that we carry the lot through. I don't think it's for the elite few again. I think you just have to have this tipping point. And, if you ask me what that tipping point is, I'm not sure. There are different people will say different amounts, but I don't think it's that high. If you asked me to put a statistic on it, I'd say maybe if we just even got less than half of humanity thinking that way, then to me it's like a seesaw and it tips the other way.
Oh, that's a lot though. I mean, we're talking, what, 2.5, 3 billion people?
We are, but there's a lot of places in the world that are much more clued up to this than we are in the West. I mean, there are lots of places in the world that are much more open to this. They're much more open to reincarnation and, energy and stuff like that. So I think it's not that we've got to start from the beginning here. Like I said, we are halfway through all the changes. And in the 11.5 years I've been working, I've seen massive amount of change. I mean, like I said, the amount of centers set up here, the amount of people that are open to energy work now and open to these changes and asking questions. I mean, 10 years ago, you would never have heard people talking the way that we're talking today. So I am more than optimistic. I don't think for 1 second this is going to fail. That doesn't even enter my head. I know it's not. I know that we are, going to win this. But I'm not stupid. I know that we are in a very difficult period of time. I know that there are casualties along the way. It's not easy. It's not easy for any of us. But I think it's going to be fine. We're halfway there.
Well, that's encouraging. But what does these changes mean more in detail? And when you say winning in that sense, what does that mean to you? Are we going to come out on the other side of this? And if so, do you know when? And what kind of world or place will we be in at that point, do you think?
Well, I think winning to me is when the negativity that has been at a massive kind of all-time high in recent years is something, in the past. Winning to me is when humans realize, what we knew before in times of Lemuria and Atlantis, that we do have amazing abilities of our own. We don't need to be controlled, if you like, that we are all connected. The world that it's not like a fantasy I'm talking about here. The world that we'll live in is one that we all coexist in, but it's also to do with co-creation and manifesting and realizing that you can use your brain and your heart and to create the kind of world that you want to live in. What we've been controlled to think again, and it's control. It's going back to the elite that are running it again. Is that from children we've been told to use the brain. This is only what is possible in the physical. This is not possible. This is not possible, and it's a complete reversal of that. It's realizing that actually we have extraordinary powers of our own, and individually, but en masse, we are unstoppable, because en masse, with focused positive intent, we literally can create the kind of world that we all, or most of us, not all, but most of us dream of living in, which is a world where you don't have wars, where you don't have this strife,